There is a story that, one cries out to God for vengeance, but also cries out to Washington, D.C. and state legislatures for justice, which is that in California now, there is a doctor who was just caught on video admitting that he performs transgender surgeries on minors, and not just minors, on 13-year-old girls, and not just on 13-year-old girls. He says, I would perform it on 12-year-olds. They just haven't approached me yet. He says there is no lower limit to the age of children on whom I would perform these surgeries. It's obviously ghastly, the idea of a hysterectomy in a 12 or 13-year-old. My question is, what can we do about this heinous child abuse?
Look, it's not just the doctor that's carrying out these horrific acts of child abuse. It's the entire dishonest political system and media system. It is our Democratic politicians who refuse to acknowledge this is happening. It is the corrupt corporate media who refuses to acknowledge that it's happening. It's big tech that silence anyone who points out it's happening. Look, as we sit here today, Libs of TikTok, a fabulous account run by an Orthodox Jewish woman, is still banned from TikTok. Why? For reporting the truth, which is the Children's Hospital in Boston, Massachusetts, was performing mutilations, life-altering surgeries on minors. And actually, Libs of TikTok, a sometimes humorous but incredibly valuable Twitter account, not just documented it on the website of the hospital, which advertised that they did it for minors, but she recorded two different employees at the hospital on tape saying, oh, yes, 16-year-old, no problem, we can do that. And I got to say, not the corporate media, so big tech banned her because she dared speak the truth. And then the corporate media, the Washington Post, wrote this absurd story where they said, well, yes, it's true the website said they were performing these surgeries on minors. And it's true that two different employees at the hospital said on tape they were performing these surgeries on minors. But it is nonetheless false. We assert with no evidence whatsoever, because these aren't the droids you're looking for. You're not allowed to be aware of this. This is insane. And look, number one, these surgeries, if you're a guy chopping it off and then trying to build female genitalia, or if you're a girl ripping chunks of flesh off the arm and leg and trying to construct something that they think resembles male genitalia, good God, number one, I mean, this is stuff out of a house of horrors. Yeah. But number two, if you read the medical studies of the consequences of those surgeries, an enormous percentage of those surgeries require a second, a third, fourth, fifth surgery to correct it, because you have all sorts of complications. You have infections. You have perforations. Look, it's hard to discuss without getting really graphic, but you read stories of people who have this surgery have to use a colonoscopy bag and crap in a bag for the rest of their lives. For any person to have this surgery, I think there are a great many of them who regret it almost instantly, because it is the rest of their lives are devastated. And then to amplify it and to say a child who is not yet mature, not yet able to rationally reason through the consequences, that if a 12-year-old believes at that moment that he or she is not a he or she, that you should permanently chop it off or permanently sterilize and remove the uterus of that young child, that's utterly indefensible. It's one thing if an adult wants to make that decision. You got a right to do that if you're an adult. But the idea that 12 and 13-year-olds should be doing it, or minors at all, I think is completely indefensible.